This paper was written when I was working at SCTE in Lisbon, together with Professor M.PASSOS from SCTE, Professor Miguel P.CUNHA from Nova School of Business and Economics, and Professor Catarina Santos, today teaching at Maastricht University. The fundamental goal of our work is to understand how can organizational teams ensure high levels of performance when operating in very dynamic and unpredictable business environments. In this particular study, we do that by analyzing two different forms of team adaptation: improvised adaptation and preemptive adaptation. To better understand the concepts, let's imagine a sales team that has one shot to present a new product to a potential client. They have prepared a short product presentation for a specific audience and customized that presentation for that audience. Let's say that a few minutes before the presentation, they realize that the audience is different from the one they predicted, and they have to change the presentation. They have a few minutes to adapt to the new situation. We call this preemptive adaptation. Let's now consider that they only realize that the audience is different when they are already facing it. They have only this one opportunity to make the presentation, so they decide to go ahead with it. They now have to adapt, but they don't have time to prepare a new presentation beforehand. They will plan and execute simultaneously, which means they will improvise. We call this improvised adaptation. We wanted to see if, in fact, these two types of adaptation are significantly different and if their interaction with other concepts is also different. We tested our framework with two different variables: shared temporal cognitions, or the extent to which team members have a common understanding about temporal aspects of a task, for example, its duration, and learning behaviors, such as giving feedback or discussing different aspects of the task. We wanted to see how these variables interact to predict performance. Our results show that these two types of adaptation are differently influenced by other variables, and they have different consequences or outcomes. For example, when teams face a disruption and do not have time to prepare a new plan before its execution, those that have a common understanding about temporal aspects of the task will benefit from engaging in improvised adaptations, since they increase the likelihood of improving performance. This may suggest, for example, that when team members have similar temporal perspectives about the task, they will react to a disruption by improvising a new solution, which enhances the probability of meeting deadlines and therefore achieving better performance. However, this increase in performance is not evident if teams adopt preemptive adaptation. One explanation is that the time available was not enough for planning before execution, and therefore they spent time designing a new plan that could have been used to act, jeopardizing timely performance. We also found that when teams share temporal cognition, they improve performance through improvised adaptation, and that if they also adopt learning behaviors, they will foster improvised adaptation and therefore performance. One explanation is that when teams have to design a plan and implement it at the same time, asking questions, seeking feedback, and experimenting will increase communication and coordination, which will potentially enhance performance through adaptation. However, when teams, given a disruption, have time to prepare a new plan, the urgency of adopting learning behaviors might be diminished by the extra time available. This does not mean that these kind of behaviors are not relevant. However, they might become less critical. Summing up, when teams have to improvise solutions to unpredictable disruptions, the adoption of learning behaviors will significantly improve performance. With this study, we conclude that the ability to adequately respond to dynamic and unpredictable business environments depends on the way teams adapt. Under such circumstances, and when facing extreme time constraints, those teams that are able to improvise a new solution increase the likelihood of a good performance. To do so, team members must have a shared understanding of temporal aspects of the task and adopt learning behaviors. If you want to know more details about this study, I invite you to read the paper. And well, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for your attention.